Welcome back to Hearts Wine from Heart's Distractions. I'm your host, Alicia Minor Gaines, here to guide you through another raw, real, and often controversial conversation about relationships. Today, we're unpacking a question that hits home for all of us. Can you truly love yourself and your partner at the same time? Or does one always take a back seat? Spoiler alert, it's not as simple as those Instagram quotes make it seem. Let me start with a story. A friend of mine, let's call her Maria, once told me about her biggest fight with her boyfriend, Chris. They'd been dating for 2 years, and one day, Maria decided she needed a weekend alone to recharge. No texts, no calls, just her journal, and her favorite hiking trail. Sounds innocent, right? But Chris took it personally. He felt rejected and even said, "If you loved me, you wouldn't need space from me." Ouch. Ooh, that one hurt, right? So, was Maria wrong for prioritizing herself? Was Chris wrong for feeling hurt? Or is this just the classic tug of war between self-love and partner love? Let's break it down. But first, let's set the mood. Imagine pouring yourself a glass of wine or maybe just some tea and sitting with your best friend. That's the vibe we're going for. This episode is all about balance, not the perfect balance, because honestly, who has that? We're talking about finding a flow that works for you and your partner. Let's jump in, shall we? I am Alicia Minor Gaines, your host for this podcast, and I am a mother, a wife, a relationship coach, an entrepreneur, a mixologist, and a whole host of other things. But mostly, I enjoy being able to help others, giving advice, or just simply helping people process where they are. Because yes, as a therapist and as a relationship coach, I get to wear 2 different hats. One allows me to show up and be present with the issues that my couples bring to the table and not offer unsolicited advice, but help them work through and find their own solutions. While being a coach, I get to give advice with no boundaries, as well as being able to meet people where they are, but also help them elevate on a different level because I'm able to be more honest and direct with them. And that's different from being a therapist. And a lot of my couples who get to see that side of me appreciate it just as well as those who I see in therapy. In my spare time, I like to do my own thing. I like to listen to music. Yes, the smooth sounds of R&B and jazz, neo soul, and old school music. And because I am a writer, I enjoy poetry writing, which is my sense of self-care. And I do have a poetry book, which is called Distractions of the Heart, which is available on Amazon. So please go and check it out. Let me know your thoughts. This poetry book is, yes, relationship based, but this is a different kind of book. It talks about everything from, yes, your heartaches to, yes, experiences that only us grown folks should know about. So it talks about those moments as well. So I hope you enjoy it. But for today, we're going to dive into this episode and we're going to kick back, relax, and soak in the information that is going to help you have a better understanding of self-love and partner love. So thank you for tuning in to listen to this episode that we're about to get started on from your new favorite relationship podcast. First things first, what exactly is self-love? According to renowned relationship therapist Esther Perel, self-love is about nurturing your own emotional and physical well-being. It's not about being selfish or self-centered, but about ensuring you have the energy and stability to show up fully in your relationships. Brene Brown, another powerhouse in the world of emotional health, says, loving ourselves through the process of owning our story is the bravest thing we'll ever do. So self-love is about valuing yourself, knowing your worth, accepting who you are, flaws and all. It's about being whole and giving yourself the compassion you'd offer a close friend. So yes, what you're pouring into, whether it's a partner or a friend, you should be able to pour back into yourself. Let's bring in some stats, shall we? Did you know that in 2022 survey by the American Psychological Association, 63% of people in relationships said they struggle to balance self-care with relationship responsibilities? That's a lot of people running on empty, wouldn't you say? Let's take Maria's story again. Her weekend getaway wasn't about rejecting Chris. It was about refilling her emotional tank. And let's be honest, how can you pour into someone else if your own cup is dry? I'm going to let y'all think about that one for a second. But here's a thought experiment for you. Think about the last time you did something purely for yourself. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel energized? Did it make you feel guilty? Share your thoughts with us on Instagram or TikTok using the hashtag HeartsWinePodcast. Now let's flip the script. What does partner love look like? And yes, it's different from self-love. At its core, partner love is about connection, empathy, compromise, intimacy, and shared experiences. It's about being there for someone else, sharing that love with someone else, even when it's inconvenient or challenging. Think about the love languages we all hear about, as well as the episode I covered, such as words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and gifts. These are ways we express love to our partners, but they also require effort and intention. Love isn't just a feeling, it's an action. Ooh, I think I'm going to say that again for those in the back, because I think so many people get this confused. Love isn't just a feeling, it's an action, which means, yes, you have to get up and move your feet and show what you're feeling. Put it into play. Don't just speak it, be it. Ooh, I like that one too. Okay. So a study from the Gottman Institute found that couples who regularly express gratitude and affection toward each other are 35% more likely to report high satisfaction in their relationships. Okay, I'm going to say that again. 35% more likely to report high relationship satisfaction, all because They regularly express gratitude and affection towards one another. Partner love thrives on these small, consistent acts of care. So shouldn't we be doing this more often? But here's the catch. What actually happens when these two types of love feel at odds? That's the controversy right there, right? What happens when your love for your partner starts to feel like a chore? Ooh, no, she didn't. I know some of y'all were thinking that. When focusing on yourself feels like neglecting your partner, or when giving to your partner leaves you feeling empty. Wow. That's something to think about, right? Or how about this one? When their needs seem to overshadow your own. I done poked the bear right there. But guess what? It's a tightrope walk. And trust me, you're not alone in feeling any of these ways. But let me share a quote from the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. True love begins when we focus on giving, not receiving. That's beautiful. But what if you feel like you've got nothing left to give? Ooh, somebody just cursed me out right there. Like, what do you mean? Think about the concept of filling your own cup. Self-love is about ensuring your cup isn't empty. So you're not pouring from a dry well. Partner love, that's about learning how to share what's in your cup without draining yourself completely. What I'm going to do for y'all is give y'all a few examples of this through some shared experiences from a lot of couples I've seen throughout the years, as well as even maybe some of my own personal experiences is tied into this. So let's say Katie and Ryan, for instance. Katie is an introvert who needs alone time to recharge. But Ryan thrives on quality time together. Katie often felt guilty for wanting space, and Ryan felt rejected. It wasn't until they sat down and talked about how Katie's self-care actually made her more present in their time together that things started to improve. If that's not good enough for you, let's consider, let's say, Marcus and Devin, a gay couple navigating their different approaches to personal growth. Marcus loves meditation and journaling, by the way, while Devin prefers social activities to unwind. Their journey to balance came when they agreed to support each other's preferences without judgment and to create space for both. Here's the thing. Balancing self-love and partner love isn't just hard. It's downright complicated, if we're going to be honest here. Let's talk about societal pressures for a moment. How many of us grew up with the idea that being a good partner means sacrificing our own needs, especially for women, LGBTQ plus individuals, and people from collectivist cultures? This idea is often ingrained from an early age. But what does that lead to? I'm going to tell you, it leads to burnout, resentment, and sometimes, the end of a relationship. Let me share another story with y'all. Let's say Sarah and James had been together for 5 years. Sarah, a high-achieving professional, struggled to carve out time for herself amidst work in their relationship. James felt neglected. Why do these men feel neglected? Even though Sarah's exhaustion wasn't about him. They'd argue, and eventually, Sarah realized she was running on empty, burnt out and resentful. Okay, I know y'all are asking me, well, what actually saved them? Well, I'm going to tell you, honest conversations and a decision to prioritize themselves and each other. It's a delicate dance, and trust me, it's not easy. But I'm going to throw in another example with some culture. Let's say we have Priya and Anil, an Indian American couple, balancing cultural expectations with their personal needs. Priya often felt the weight of family obligations, while Anil encouraged her to pursue therapy and individual hobbies. Their relationship flourished when Priya allowed herself to embrace her individuality without guilt. This balancing act also plays out differently across relationship types. In LGBTQ plus relationships, for example, there's often an added layer of societal pressure to prove the relationship's validity, which can sometimes overshadow self-care. I hope y'all are listening to this because this is getting real. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture, shall we? How have generational patterns shaped our ideas about self-love and partner love? Ooh, yep, I'm about to get into it, y'all. For example, many baby boomers grew up in households where sacrifice for family was the ultimate virtue, while millennials and Gen Z often emphasize individuality and self-care. These differences can create tension, especially in intergenerational relationships. A common pattern I see is the martyr syndrome, where one partner, often influenced by older generational values, gives up their own needs entirely for the relationship. On the flip side, there's the hyper-individualist mindset where personal goals take precedence over everything else. What about you? Have you noticed generational patterns influencing your relationship? Share your stories with us. We'd love to feature them in a future episode. Now, let's turn to some experts. Research from the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy shows that couples who prioritize self-care are more likely to report higher levels of satisfaction in their relationships. Why? Because when you're taking care of yourself, you're showing up as your best self in the relationship. Oh my goodness, I think some of y'all might have missed that, so I'm going to repeat it for you. When you're taking care of yourself, you're showing up as your best self in the relationship. Oh my gosh. Who doesn't want to show up authentically? Who doesn't want to show up as the best version of themselves? I know I do. And I know that there have been plenty of times I have taken the time to indulge in reading self-help books just to grow, not just my mental, but the way that I move in life, the way that I show up in spaces. If I hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be the mother that I am today. I wouldn't be the wife that I am today. I wouldn't be the daughter that I am today. Yeah, I know I just threw in all relationships, not just the personal, intimate relationship, right? But it's true. If you're not taking care of yourself to work on being the best self that you can be, then guess what? The first relationship that fails is the relationship that you have with yourself. And then as the added bonus, the relationship that you have with others, including, yes, your partner, your wife, your husband, fails too. Ooh, I know I just got too deep for some of y'all. So I'm going to get back to this information that I know y'all need, right? So one study found that 67% of couples who incorporated Individual self-care routines alongside shared activities reported feeling more connected and less resentful. And this isn't just about straight couples. LGBTQ plus relationships often highlight the importance of individuality within a partnership, breaking away from traditional norms that can sometimes stifle self-expression. Experts also emphasize the importance of emotional boundaries. Brené Brown, yes, I'm using her again, in her book, Daring Greatly, writes, "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others." It's a powerful reminder that saying no to your partner sometimes means saying yes to yourself. Let's pivot to something deeply personal. How do triggers from past relationships impact our ability to balance self-love and partner love? Imagine this scenario. You're in a new, healthy relationship, but your partner, wanting to check in with you regularly, reminds you of an ex who was controlling. It's easy to project old fears onto new dynamics, but it's not fair to either party. According to marriage therapist Terry Cole, recognizing and naming your triggers is the first step. Journaling, therapy, or even having open conversations with your partner can help you break free from old patterns. But here's a major tip for you. When you feel triggered, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this about my current partner? Or is this about my past? That simple pause can make all the difference. Trust me, I have been there. And knowing your triggers is the best thing that you can do for yourself and your relationships. Because what you don't want to be is the bag lady, bringing too many bags into your relationship. Here's where things get tricky. Self-love and partner love aren't mutually exclusive, but they can feel like they're in direct conflict. Let's break this down with some common scenarios, shall we? Let's say we have career ambition versus quality time. Imagine you're working overtime to chase a promotion, but your partner feels neglected. How do you balance personal goals with relationship priorities? Yes, I'm hitting y'all with all the questions today. Now, let's say we have personal goals versus shared responsibilities. What happens when one partner wants to train for a marathon while the other is left managing all the household chores or kids? That's something to think about. And I'm going to give y'all another one. Let's say emotional independence versus codependency. How do you navigate needing personal space without making your partner feel abandoned? I don't know about some of y'all, but codependency stifles your relationship. There can't be any room for you if you're constantly hogging the space. For some of y'all that didn't understand what I just said, that means if you are always constantly underneath your partner, where is the room for you to grow as well as them? Especially if you're complaining about the lack of growth in them. If you're complaining that they're not growing mentally, physically, spiritually, well, guess what? They can't do that if they are constantly underneath you and you underneath them. There has to be some room for space for each of you to grow individually, to begin to grow collectively. I'm going to let that sink in. A 2023 poll by Relationship Research Insights found that 47% of couples say mismatched priorities are their biggest source of tension. I'm going to repeat that for some of y'all. 47% of couples say mismatched priorities, meaning your priorities are not in line with each other, are not in line with one another, are the biggest source of tension in their relationship. And let's not forget cultural and generational influences. In some cultures, self-sacrifice for family and partners is celebrated, while others prioritize individuality. These norms can shape how we view love and relationships. Let's take a look at another story. Let's call them Alex and Jordan. A same-sex couple struggled with this dynamic. Alex, a graphic designer, needed solitude to fuel their creativity, while Jordan, a teacher, thrived on constant connection. For years, they fought about time management until they learned to schedule alone time together, being in the same room, but doing their own thing. This compromise saved their relationship. Now, whether gay or straight, if anything you've learned through that story is that being able to come together once you've had your alone time, that connection can be stronger. Compromising makes your relationship stronger. So, how do we strike a balance? Here are some strategies to consider, and I'm going to give you quite a few of these because we need harmony in our relationships, and balance equals harmony. First thing, schedule some me time and we time. Yes, there's a difference. Me time and we time. Set aside specific times for self-care and quality time together. Think of it as investing in both banks, yours and your relationships. Explore together, research and try new activities that nurture both your individuality and your bond as a couple. Y'all all know my favorite one, or you should by now. Communication. Why? Because communication is key. You have to be able to talk openly about your needs to your partner and listen to theirs. Use those I statements to avoid blame and create a safe space for these conversations. Setting boundaries is an important one because it helps you decide what's non-negotiable for your self-care and relationship care. For all my couples that like to go out, prioritize some date nights, even in busy seasons. Make time for connection. Embrace flexibility. Recognize that balance looks different in every phase of life. So be open to some things. Be spontaneous if you have to. Practice self-awareness. Regularly check in with yourself. Ask yourself, are you neglecting one area for the sake of the other? You have to be asking yourself these questions. Practice emotional check-ins. Regularly check in with yourself and your partner about how you're both feeling and what each of you need. This gives you an idea on how to satisfy not just yourself, but also your relationship. And lastly, seek professional help. Couples therapy and relationship coaching isn't just for crisis. It's a tool for growth. And remember, balance isn't about perfection, and self-love isn't selfish. These can be the foundation for healthy love. And partner love, well, that's just the icing on the cake. It's about making intentional choices that honor both yourself and your partner. Let's stir the pot a bit and dive into some juicy, controversial questions. These are some things that I want y'all to think about. Should your partner's needs take precedence over your self-love? Is self-love selfish in a relationship? Are societal norms making this balance harder to achieve? Can too much self-love harm a relationship? Should partners always support self-love, even if it means temporary emotional distance? I would love to hear y'all thoughts on this. Don't be afraid to send me a message on social media or make a comment. We might just feature it in a future episode. To close this out, balancing self-love and partner love isn't easy, but it's essential. As poet Rupi Kaur writes, I hope I pronounced that right, how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. So start with self-compassion and let it ripple outward. Thank you for tuning in to Heart's Wine from Heart's Distractions. Remember, love, whether for yourself or your partner, isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, doing the work, and finding joy in the process. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Heart's Wine from Heart's Distractions and check out our website at www.aliciasdistractions.com for more resources, couples checklists, and updates. Don't forget to follow us also on social media. Yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, love yourself and your partner. Why? Because you both deserve it. And you deserve both. Cheers.